Hi, back again with another video on this Marantz SD333 cassette deck. I've got a lot of repair things to do with this thing yet, but one of the things I wanted to highlight in this video was some cosmetic repairs I made to paint some of the face plates which had been gouged, nicked, and scratched up pretty badly. So let me zoom across the top of it here, and you can see some of the imperfections that are in the top. You can see some of the gouges and some of the scratches that I had to contend with here. And on my search, I found some paint that I thought was pretty close, and I painted some sample pieces. And this was the paint that I located. This was a Tamiya Titanuim Gold TS87 was the color and the name of the paint. And I've already done the top of the faceplate on the control panel. So as I move forward to do a little bit more, I thought I would capture a video on how I went about that so that you could benefit from it. So the first thing I needed to do was to try and sand some of those nicks and those scratches off. And I started with some 400 grit sandpaper and a sanding block, as you can see, to keep it square and straight. And right underneath here, you know, that's a flimsy part of the faceplate, so I put my hand underneath there to try and keep that from flexing too much, and obviously didn't want to break it. But there's a lot of sanding that took place here to get all of those nicks and scratches out of there, and sometimes there's actually some imperfections in the casting itself. But in this one, the nick was so bad that I had to get out my body putty and touch up the deepest of the scars because I could probably never sand it down far enough. And so I used the putty to fill in that crack. So after applying the putty and giving it some time to dry, I got out the sanding block and the sandpaper again and worked a little bit more on that. First of all, starting with the 400 grit sandpaper and then doing some wet sanding as well. We got that down to the point that it was pretty level and pretty smooth. And you'll probably notice here some of this stuff finally goes away, and we just end up with what looks like a hairline fill on that horrible gouge. So finished off with 1000 grit sandpaper and then started taping everything off so that we could prepare for paint. This is a little bit more challenging, unlike the faceplate on the control panel, which I could remove and paint individually, but here I had to paint it all in place. So then it was out to the garage for a coat of paint, and then back downstairs for some light sanding. Went through that process 3 or 4 times until we got all of the cracks filled in and the imperfections covered. So once the paint was looking pretty good, then it was time to remove all of the masking tape and the paper. This process will work pretty well if you're going to be painting an entire panel, but I don't think the color was a close enough match if you needed to do some touch-up, like right in the middle of a panel, or if you had to contend with some lettering that was placed on the faceplate or something and had to work around that. But if you're going to do a whole panel or a side or a top, this works out pretty good. So here's a look at the finished product, and if you have a piece of Marantz gear that needs some touch-up, I hope this video helps you. Take care. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.